We know that many of our fellow human beings quite obviously do not spend a lot of time in reflection. Because if you really stood back and reflected on a lot of things around you, well, you probably, for instance, wouldn't join the army. You would realize that there was a very good chance, especially an aggressive army like perhaps the American Army or the French Foreign Legion. I was reading that 1 in 10 legionnaires in the course of their career is badly wounded or killed. So most assuredly, if you reflected, you wouldn't become a soldier, because you would realize that you either have to be killed or kill another human being. And a little bit deeper reflection would make you realize that it's probably not very natural to kill someone under any circumstances. So then you, with some reflection, would realize that you're going to suffer post-traumatic stress disorder. And countless soldiers in all the armies of the world have experienced this. And of course, it wasn't called this before. It was shell shock, or sometimes it was just plain cowardice. People were blamed for being fearful. Isn't that strange? When your mate beside you is being blown into various pieces and you're receiving his blood or excrement or limbs or God only knows what else. So life would change, wouldn't it? But it would also, with reflection, change in our relationship probably to ourselves. We would learn at an early age that this is a precious being, and I must really learn to respect him or her and nurture him or her to his magnificence, ultimately. And I am sure if you walk down many streets in North America, especially the shadier streets, and you look at the broken human beings that are there, these are not reflective people. And many times they're drunken, stoned, and altered. So they don't have to reflect because they're just not here. Now, let's be fair. There is a proportion, limited proportion in our society that is not very smart, period. They probably couldn't reflect. And a tiny subsection of the population is brilliant, and it's probably reflecting all the time. I had a university professor, and he spent his entire 30 years on one particular chapter in one of Aristotle's books. Entire career, because the great philosophers who had come before, in his estimation, had made an error. They had misinterpreted what the great man was actually saying. A career, that leaves the rest of us, right? The 80-85%. We go up, we go down, we become rich, we become poor, we have positive relations or not, relationships or not. And quite obviously, many times we just don't think. We don't think. Certainly, as Schopenhauer tells us, when we're young, we're driven by the will to life, the will to procreate. And this is especially true in men, for sure. We're looking for mates continuously. But after 30, we can't stand back, but we continue to make stunning errors, don't we? Truly stunning errors. So, I think it is training. Learn to think. Sober second thought, right? when you go to act, ask yourself, is this really necessary? And what will be the consequences? And then, once you've given yourself some answers, then proceed, for sure. Why not? Because you have reflected on what you're doing. You haven't just stumbled into some decision and had to accept. On our second day walking the Camino, the theme was actually reflections, because on the second day, we had initially gone over the mountains, and the second day, gosh, it wasn't much easier. We really had to struggle on. And it made us reflect on our muscles and are we capable of going to actually finish this trek? Got to be a bit of a fight, inside of me at least. The devil on the shoulder, or the angel on the shoulder perhaps being taunted by the devil. Give up, Leon, it won't matter. Yes, you can do it. Yes, you can. No, you can't. All those things, right? But with reflection, you realize that you can overcome. So I think, say to yourself on a daily basis when you awaken in the morning, after you say your prayers and perhaps suggest that it's another wonderful day and you have gratitude, think to yourself, what's my daily mission today? And how does that daily mission fall into my perhaps monthly or yearly mission and my overall mission in life? What is this piece of life going to accomplish, or going to set out at least to attempt to accomplish? Very important concept. So reflect. You have a wonderful evening, and you know what they say. Critical thinking is everything, and critical thinking teaches us that we must reflect. We can all learn to reflect. We go to school to learn how to learn, not just to get a degree, to get a good job, to learn to think. In theory, it's a trained science for sure. And critical thinking is great, truly great. You take care. God bless. Bye-bye.
Good evening, everyone. This is Dave, and I'm here to talk to you about the second day of our El Camino journey. So, a big thank you goes out to Queenie for the suggestion of the theme reflections. Now, Leon and I have been training to go on this El Camino walk for about 6 or 8 months. Initially, we walked down from our home to the Taichung main station and back again. After a while, we walked down to the main station and up to Beitou. And finally, I looked at Leon one day and I said, this area is too flat. We need to get serious with our training. And he agreed. So we decided to start training up in Dak Kong, and we found a little circuit where we'd train about 20 kilometers 2 or 3 times a week. The first time we did this trip up in Dak Kong, we were very sore. It felt as though the mountains were very steep and that the world was coming to an end. Eventually, It became easier until our final day up in Dak Kung. And Leon looked at me, and I looked at him, and we said, "Are we here already? Are we at the top? Wow." Today, when we got up, it was a bit cold, and it was misty. So we set out on our journey, and very quickly the trail began to ascend into the clouds, into the heavens. As we ascended, we started to feel the rain droplets on our shoulders, and we started to feel the pain in our legs. And we started to reflect back on our previous training in Dak Kung, where the first time was very difficult. But by the same token, we knew that we had done training, and no matter how much training you do, it's usually not enough when faced with a new difficult challenge. That being kept in mind, we did know that just by going step by step, we would be able to complete this journey, and we did. Along the way, up in the Pyrenees Mountains, we saw cattle, we saw sheep and horses on the mountainsides, and we even saw some snails. Some of the snails had shells and others did not. But we saw a lot of animals and creatures, and we met a lot of interesting people along the way. And for them, it was the same thing. One step at a time. Don't give up.
So to tie into David's theme, truly in life, whatever you do, wherever you go, never give up on your dreams. Never. Now, all of us know that we live in a complex world, and we know that life is hard. And I think at least if we don't know this, we're beginning to learn this. Life is not easy if I'm going to accomplish anything in my life. And many people just increasingly just give up. They acquiesce. They don't try to do anything. We're sitting at dinner this evening, and there was a young man, kind of an eager young man, and he was speaking to a chap beside us, and the chap was worldly and been in the cooking business for a long time, and he asked, the boy asked this man, "So, sir, what are your goals?" And the man said, "Oh, well, really, I have no goals." And I was thunderstruck, as they say. Knocked me over with a feather is a very common idiom. Because I thought to myself, here is an eager young man who's trying to learn. And the older man, for whatever reason, laziness, intellectual fatigue, whatever it is, had decided that his life was not going to be an expression of something special. Don't make that mistake. There is no one like me. There never has been, and there never will be. But I must open the door to me. And that requires effort, as David was pointing out today. For us, it was a struggle to climb up these mountains. I think we did 27 kilometers today, and most of it straight up over the Pyrenees Mountains. And yes, beautiful. The animals were charming, and the scenery was absolutely stunning, as the pictures are on our website, as you're probably seeing them. But it was hard. So never give up on your dreams. That's the point. And have a nice evening. God bless. Bye-bye.
Take care.
Take care always. Have a nice evening. Bye-bye.